Hi guys, welcome back to the MST Systems YouTube channel. Coming back again with another video that I'm hoping can help you guys because I've been getting a lot of questions on this one randomly. So this is a question I've been getting on Dr. Joel Seedman, who's been going pretty viral on Instagram for a while. And I've had a few people message me about the eccentric isometric training that he kind of pushes, and a few people also sent me a video on More Plates, More Dates. Derek, who pretty cool, I like his YouTube channel, cool guy. But Derek did a video on him. Basically, it kind of I don't think he understands I mean, Derek's obviously not so much on the strength and conditioning for athlete side. I don't think he really understands some of the application of the exercises that Mr. Joel or Dr. Joel Seidman does. So I wanted to go over them because the reason why people have sent me them is anybody who's followed MST Systems for a while will know that my whole business has been built and the success of the athletes that I coach has all been built on eccentric isometrics. It's one of the foundation things that we use to coach our athletes. It's one of the mandatory training phases that we take people through, and it's a really big part of the MST Systems training system, basically. It's something that I've kind of came up with myself, so to speak. I've had inspiration over the years from people that introduced me to it initially, Tom Hibbert, Andrew Triana, and then I've kind of molded it into a specific strongman training system that we can use with males and females to get optimal results. And a lot of the stuff that Joel posts is actually kind of similar to some of the stuff I get my guys to do, which is pretty funny because he's obviously gone viral for it and it's getting trolled by, and you know, all these people, strength and conditioning coaches, and everybody's kind of getting involved and jumping on him. I want to give my opinion on him first of all. I think he's just pretty clever because I've done a little bit of research into him, and from what I realise, I don't think that this probably makes up like 10% of the way he actually trains people, but they're obviously quite interesting techniques and they look pretty funny, and I think sometimes he exaggerates stuff and makes claims that are kind of BS, but at the end of the day, I followed Joel for probably about a year or so, and the last time I checked, I swear he had like 10,000 followers, and now he's on 400k. So he's obviously doing something right. There's a way to, it's like the liver king guy, you know what I mean? The guy's not an idiot, and some of the stuff that he posts is very controversial, and it just gets people watching. But what I wanted to go over today, guys, is just some of the things that he puts up, and basically give my opinion on it, whether it's BS or not. So I'm on his Instagram here, and we're going to take a little look at some of the stuff that he does. So I'm going to find some stuff that I agree with first of all, because there's some stuff on there that there's a clear benefit. So first of all, I'm on this trap bar shrug here. So he says it's the best muscle mass, strength and power drill. Heavy trap bar, high pulls, back leg, shoulder traps, hypertrophy and strength. Also power output, deceleration and impact. Reach technical failure with partials for gains. Aim to load. Yeah, this exercise here, guys, it's absolutely brilliant. I'll be perfectly honest with you, and I haven't actually added this in for strongman, but I seen this the other day, and I thought to myself, this is really good, because what we're getting here is we're getting a lot of grip work on the trap bar. Now the eccentric isometric, I also saw another guy, Lane Norton, said there's no such thing as an eccentric isometric because an isometric is a contraction where well, his explanation of isometric was strange as well. So basically, guys, an isometric contraction is when you're lifting into an immovable object. So a true isometric, you need to have an immovable object. So you need to be pulling into a power rack or something. An eccentric isometric is actually technically a yielding isometric. So it's an eccentric yielding isometric, which that means that you're doing the isometric or the pause on the eccentric, and yielding or quasi-isometric just means that you're holding a position, but technically speaking, guys, there will be micro movements. Nobody can stay completely still, so there's micro movements. So if there's like a pause point there's slight movement, that's a quasi-isometric or yielding isometric contraction. So an eccentric isometric is different to a concentric isometric. So there is a difference there. Lane was trying to slate him for that And I was just like, that makes no sense, mate. An eccentric isometric is a thing. It's when you pause on the eccentric. It does elicit different adaptations to a concentric isometric, because a concentric isometric, you need to then accelerate into, well, I won't go into too much detail on that, I'm going to run really fucking shy. But anyway, with this trap bar shrug, what he's doing here is he's pausing on the eccentric a couple of inches off the floor. Now, I believe he's in barefoot vibos here as well. So he's getting really good activation of his feet. He's getting really good foot control in that pause position. He's getting great grip benefits from the trap bar. He's staying in an optimal position. Now, isometrics will also strengthen above and below the joint angle you pause at. So even though he's pausing about an inch or so off the floor, he will actually be strengthening his off the floor lift as well, just due to the nature of the isometric adaptation. Now, as he extends through, he's going into triple extension, and he's getting a nice little shrug. He's then decelerating and catching the load and coming back down into his next rep. This will be, I'll be honest with you, it's a fucking great exercise. Loads of, well, just absolutely loads of applicable adaptations you're going to get. The foot control, the grip strength, the explosive extension, the isometric, it's a good exercise. You know what I mean? And there's a guy here laughing saying, high pulls, ha 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 ha. Well, a high pull, it doesn't matter how high the bar goes, it matters on how much force you're applying into the bar. So, this is a pretty good exercise. There's literally nothing wrong with it. Some of the stuff he does, guys, is real applicable. Some of it's like fucking mad batty, but I think some of it that he does is just for social media shares. But that exercise there, guys, is a good exercise. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't understand why people are trolling it. Your shoulders won't thank you. T Mayor 55. Oh yeah, because this guy knows what he's doing, doesn't he? Fucking hell. Listen to this guy. So, we're going to find one. This one's funny, guys. See, this one here, this is just, in my opinion, it's just a social media advert, and I don't see why people are so mad about it, to be perfectly straight. So a lot of people talk about this. You know, yeah, it's fucking stupid. He's making imbalance. There's a little bit more proprioception involved. It makes it more difficult to cheat. I understand it, but it's just bullshit at the end of the day, innit? There's not really any benefit to it. This one again, the lunge position curl. There's just no point, mate. To be perfectly straight with you, you know, I do understand the thing is, I do understand why he's doing these things. I do completely understand it, but there's just no need. There was some other stuff though, like, yeah, Derek was laughing at this here. So Derek was laughing at this Chaos Copenhagen side plank. Now, I've been using this for years, mate. I get loads of people to Copenhagen plank. The Copenhagen plank is one of the most beneficial things to do in strongman and powerlifting. It will absolutely bulletproof. I call it, I've got a little tricep that my athletes do. And well, he actually says bulletproof your hips, lower back and something else there. But I call it bulletproof hips. And there's a tricep that I do that includes this banded Copenhagen plank. Now, the reason why this is absolutely amazing, so obviously it's an isometric contraction on the adductor. And the reason why the band is so good is because it adds this absolute layer of instability there. And if you're just doing the Copenhagen plank on a kind of bench or something, it's a lot easier, guys. Like, just all you got to do is just Derek, do this exercise. If you watch this video, you'll never watch this video, but do this exercise. You will instantly feel the benefits. I pair this with the Rock and Breathe, which is a squeezing of a foam roller. Well, I can't explain it without showing you, to be honest. It's a bit of a weird exercise, but I pair this with Rock and Breathe because it's another isometric adductor exercise. And the adductor is an extremely undertrained muscle in athletes. And a lot of people don't understand that the adductor is one of the primary hip extensor muscles. So a weak adductor can actually lead to loads of problems from athletes that squat and deadlift often. So for example, a common thing that I see is people with hip flexor impingements that go around into the lower back. So they end up with a little bit of lower back pain. They often say they've got a tight piriformis. So the common thing is they've got piriformis syndrome is what they tell you, because a lot of physios will diagnose that quite quickly. But in actual fact, it can come from a weak adductor. And when you start isolating it with exercises like the Copenhagen plank and the banded Copenhagen plank, you can actually strengthen it and a weak muscle is a tight muscle, guys. So when a muscle in isolation is weak, it gets tight and it pulls. And your body's like, imagine it's made up of elastic bands. So if your adductor is weak and tight and it pulls into the hip flexor, it pulls round, basically it's a big kinetic chain effect. And oftentimes the site of pain isn't the actual issue, it's somewhere further down the kinetic chain. And the Copenhagen plank, especially with the band, is such an amazing addition to people's training, I'll be honest with you. This hanging kettlebell thing seems pretty ridiculous. You can just wrap a band around. I know what he's doing again, but you can just wrap a band around your shoulders and put it on your leg, and it'll allow you to get a similar benefit. Yeah, pretty ridiculous. This one again, this is quite good. So this is kind of like my rock and breathe exercise with a little bit of external and internal rotation. So he's squeezing the foam roller for the adductors, and then he's going into internal and external rotation. This is great for hip stability. Like if you were to add this in as a hip stability exercise, because in the MST Systems program, and we have mandatory exercises like shoulder stability work and hip stability. This is a great hip stability exercise that will keep your hips nice and healthy, allow you to train longer. Again, this is what I mean by this thing is like, I swear down that these athletes, this is like 10% of the training. This is like just a little bit of a thing. Zerker, eccentric isos. Now, here's the great thing about the eccentric isos. Let me find a better video of an eccentric iso. I'll find a full squat one, if he's got one. Here's one. So this is an eccentric isometric squat, I believe. And the thing that I found from coaching strongmen and strongwomen is that the eccentric isometrics are just amazing tools to build strength. They not only do they build maximal strength, because the thing with an eccentric iso is that they have such a bigger recruitment of muscle fiber. It's absolutely crazy how high it is. But the difference between me and Joel is I do believe in going through a full range of motion. Like, for example, you've got Joel Seedman here who says, don't go through full range, do 90-degree eccentric isos because of all these studies. And then you've got knees over toes guy, opposite end of the spectrum, telling you to go through absolutely full range of motion. Now, the thing is, guys, they both have valid arguments and they're both right. So, like I've said in many videos, sit on the fence, don't take one side, look at the pros and cons of each person's training methodology. Like this guy, Dr. Joel Seedman, he's got a lot of bullshit on here. Some of his stuff's good. Sit on the fence, look at what's good, look at what's not good, make a decision, try some stuff as well, and implement it into your training. Like I say, we've got over, I've trained, I think like nearly 20, we're close to 20, I always say 20 because I think I'm on like 19, but 20 people I've taken from a 300 kilo deadlift to a 400 kilo deadlift. They've all used the eccentric isometrics. I've got Lucy Unders, the biggest female deadlift of all time, the first female to pull 300 kilos, apart from Becca Swanson, if you want to count that unrecorded one. But anyhow, uses eccentric isometrics. I've trained so many big squatters. We use double pause eccentric isometrics on squats. I get them to pause at 90 degrees, just like Joel says, and then I get them to go, instead of what Joel will do is you'll pause at that joint angle and then you'll actually go into the concentric, whereas what I get people to do is pause that joint angle and then go to full range of motion and pause and then come up and through. So that's how we use eccentric isometrics MST Systems. The reason why I want to make this video is because on the outside looking in, he's an absolute fucking idiot. But there are some good things in there, guys, that you can take. So don't just jump on the bandwagon and slate everybody. Think of it from his perspective. He's probably using it as a good marketing tool. He's getting lots of views, lots of this. He's trying to sell fucking programs, guys. He's a coach just like us. He's a clever guy. He knows what he's doing in terms of the marketing, and he does know what he's doing in terms of the coaching as well. I do believe, I would like to think that, let's say we went to him for coaching, I'd like to think that the programs look nothing like what you think. I don't think that you're going to go to him and you're going to get all this random crap. I think you're going to get a pretty bog standard structured program with some of this stuff sprinkled in, which is exactly what we do at MST Systems, guys. We use this stuff every day. The reason why I want to put this video out there is just because I feel like I'm quite good proof that this stuff does have practical application, because at the end of the day I've trained fucking about 300 animals. Well, more than that, but you know, everything's got its place. Everything can be applied, and yeah, just remember, sit on the fence, guys. Look on both sides. That's it. Rambled a lot of crap. So go to mstsystems.co.uk for coaching. Check out our free Strongman ebook and check out some of our articles. Check out the Strongman Gym Locator and MST Bot. And this is it for today. See you next time.